after last year, it changed my mindset to life is going to happen.
Yeah.
No matter what we do, no matter who you are, you're not exempt from life happening.
And yes, it go 1, 2, 3. I got to be a beast and be like 1, 2, 3. I'm hot, watch me unleash and it go 1, 2, 3. When you know that you the best out, chest out. I'm saying I got now, forget the rest now. 1, 2, 3. I got to be a beast and be like 1, 2, 3. I'm hot, watch me unleash and it go 1, 2, 3. When you know that you the best out, chest out. I'm saying I got now, forget the rest now. I rap with the soul of Frankie Beverly, amazed on these graceful beats, forever heavenly. There'll never be none after me unless we talking let us see, but let us see. Begin on high notes like I'm lettuce. It's the real dreamer and artist formerly known.
Welcome to Relentless Conversations with K. Noel. This is not K. Noel talking though. So we're gonna put a little twist on this one right here. This your boy Marquis Red Jackson, also known as Red Inspires. So we're gonna dig into this information and this content real good, and I want y'all to be able to really get a chance to reintroduce my brother to the world, man. So here at Relentless Conversation with K. Noel, we're gonna dive deep into the stories that inspire, that motivate, and that challenge us. Today's episode, it marks a special moment as we reintroduce K. Noel to the world. After a transformational journey, he's here to share where he's been, what he's learned, and how he's stepping into a new chapter of authenticity, transparency, and relentless empowerment. In the heart of every great story lies the journey of its protagonist. For K. Noel, that journey has been one of leadership, empowerment, and unwavering determination. As the founder of Relentless Motivational Group, he stood on stages, written books, and shared his message with the audiences all around. But behind the accolade lies a deeper narrative, one of growth, resilience, and the pursuit of purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, here we have K. Noel. What's up, my brother?
What's going on, bruh? Hey, you did that introduction, man. That was a lit introduction, bruh.
Hey, man, when you gave me the opportunity, I said, I gotta come correct. Yes, sir, man. How you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, man. You know, I'm happy to be back, bruh.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, we got some questions for you, man. It's moment of transparency, man, because we know that you all about the impact and the empowerment, and we about to get into your story a little deeper, man. So if you don't mind, man, we can go ahead and crank it up. It's on you.
Man, let's go, bruh.
All right, listen, man. So the first question I have for you is, what inspired you to embark on your journey of leadership and empowerment?
Man, I've always had the leadership in me. Dating back all the way to high school, it was something I always loved about leadership, man. I'm talking about going back, thinking about cartoons. You know, I was always fascinated, like with Leonardo in Ninja Turtles. You know, he was the leader of the group. He was like the wise one, you know. And I've always had that thrive to want to lead. But, you know, even leading comes with its challenges sometimes. So I've growing up, I always studied leaders. I look at them, and, you know, I learned the do's and don'ts. Even when I first started working, man, I started working about the age of 21. So I had the opportunity to learn the good leaders on my job, had the chance to learn the bad leaders. I also had the chance to learn the leaders that's going to try to provoke you. Man, I can't even lie, bro. It was times, you know, I wanted to fight one of my leaders. On the job. You know, it was just like, you know, and I was, you know, fresh out of jail, you know, fresh out of the street mindset, you know, and he hit that trigger.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
man.
It was still fresh. That mindset was still fresh right then.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It was definitely still fresh.
So I'm sure it took a lot of self-control on your end, man. But salute to you for recognizing all that. You know what I mean? Even at that young age of, you know, 20, 21 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, And I'll say, man, even the discipline of learning how to manage my anger throughout, growing up. I always learned to try to put myself in tough conditions, if it makes sense. So by putting myself in those tough conditions, I condition my mindset to wanna to strive to do better, to wanna be harder at something, and it's just like the muscles. So it was
Right.
like memory muscles for me, trying to make myself stronger. I may see where I made a mistake here. I may drop the ball here. So and I'm a weakness of mine is I'm overly hard on myself. One thing that I'm still working on to this day, if I'm being honest. So in the midst of that, being hard on myself, I was always trying to push myself even harder, even in tough conditions, even in conditions where most people wanted to quit. It was even conditions I wanted to quit. But I pushed myself through that, the uncomfortable situation, to make myself better, to learn from those mistakes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can see why you do consider yourself as relentless. You know what I mean? And that leads me to my second question. Can you walk me through, or can you walk us, as far as the audience, can you walk us through a pivotal moment that shaped your perspective on life and leadership?
Man, I could think of a lot of moments, but I'm going to just go with recent last year.
Okay.
Firsthand, last year was hard for me. Experienced a lot of different challenges, but I still had to go to work. I still had to lead. I still had to lead the staff, at work, because I'm a supervisor on my job. And it was even in those moments, sometimes those days where, man, I just didn't feel like being.
Right.
Man, I felt like giving up, and it's a scripture. I was thinking about this earlier today. Where it says, "Evil is always present." To me, quitting is an evil.
Yeah.
Whether it's your purpose, whether it's certain relationships, because let's be real, relationships get hard too. And that evil is always present. That quitting is always at the door. So I had to push myself, despite how I felt, despite how I feel, to keep going. And it even shifted what I considered to be relentless. Because for me, when I first, thought about the word relentless back in 2020, relentless for me, I took it back to the gangster days, kicking in the door, going after what you want, going after your purpose, letting nothing stop you. After last year, it changed my mindset to life is going to happen.
Yeah.
No matter what we do, no matter who you are, you're not exempt from life happening, from life experiences. So with that being said, I had to learn how to navigate life. And I realized, man, that is what relentless is really about, because it's those moments when you want to quit. It's those moments when you want to give up. That's when you really got to be relentless.
Yeah.
And the crazy part about it, what I realized, Red, life is gonna happen. It's no doubt about that. But in the midst of life happening, it's crazy, because in the midst of life happening, some kind of way, life affects our purpose. Life had nothing to do with the purpose that was going on in our life or any of that, but it still had a way to make us want to quit our purpose.
Yeah.
And that's when you have to push. And, I have a saying, leave no days left behind. And what does that mean is, leaving no days left behind is, you may not put your all into that day, because life is life. Let's be real about it. Sometimes you need to take a moment.
Yeah.
But in the midst of that, don't leave that day without doing something, without taking at least one step.
Right.
You don't have to take 3, 4, 5 steps, but at least take one step, because one step is better than no steps.
Absolutely.
Even if you just writing down some ideas, some thoughts or something, you still moving in your purpose. You still building on your purpose.
Yeah.
So, that was one of the things that I had to learn in this previous season, and you know, and I still had a little bit of the residue on me. I won't lie about it. But you know, that was one of the key things I had to learn.
Right, right. I can dig that, man. And you know, since I've been knowing you, man, I've learned a lot about the importance of being relentless. Because you know some of my struggles as well. You know that we spoke earlier about, and the way you just broke down that word relentless, as far as just not giving up. You know what I'm saying? No days off. I often think about slow motion is better than no motion. You know what I'm saying? So an inch at a time, even if it's not even an inch, like you said, if it's just like writing a thought down that you can build off on the next day, because you may not have the brain power to deal with it today. Let me write a thought, and hopefully tomorrow's a little bit better for me. You know what I mean? And that leads me to speaking of the relentless aspect of it. How has your view for the Relentless Motivational Group evolved over the years?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm learning this. God would give you the bigger picture of what something can be. But he does, as we know, he doesn't give us the journey.
Right.
Why? Why is that? Because if he give us the journey, sometimes we'll want to quit. So I saw the end results of what I wanted Relentless Motivational to be. But I had to, as of last year shifted me a lot. But as of last year, I had to double back and start back from the beginning and rebuild Relentless Motivational Group. In 2020, Carl, who's on ET's podcast, you know, he started off doing the content and stuff for ET. He did a class on how to create the content just like ET.
Okay.
Me personally, I did that. I took that class, and I only took it because, as a leader, I may not know how to do all of what everybody else does, but I at least want to have some kind of knowledge of it, so that I understand it.
Right.
So I took that class, and you know, I started dabbling with the content, and you know, I have to admit, I got pretty good at it. And you know, even looking back then, man, the content I was creating back then wasn't as good as what I'm doing now. So, you know, I even had people back then saying, you know, they wanted me to do some work for them and stuff. You know, nobody never took it on. You know, then eventually I started doing something for someone, and then you know I started doing stuff, you know, for Crump, and then you know from Crump it came to Month, you know, and so on and so on. Yeah. So having that aspect of doing content creation is what I added to Relentless Motivational Group. That wasn't even a part of the plan. In fact, man, in some aspects, man, I don't even like social media. As crazy as it sounds, sometimes I just don't like social media. Yeah. But in this age that we live in, it's a must. You know, if you want to do your business and all of that kind of stuff, we got to have social media. But you know, it's a give and take with the balance, and you know, I'm still learning that aspect of it, of trying to be a content creator, you know, trying to get fresh ideas and trying to see what's out there so that I can kind of put my twist on it or be different. Yeah. So now, you know, it's just learning how to manage, you know, not spending so much time on social media, because that can be toxic in itself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, you know, I'm learning not, you know, to take that much intake in it. But, you know, Relentless Motivational Group, man, it started off with one vision, in which that vision is still there. But now Relentless Motivational Group is the umbrella for Relentless Wear. My gear's gonna come back out soon. I'm working on that. That's later on down the road for the process. Relentless Conversations, my books, K Noel as the brand, and I'll even say this: I never wanted K Noel to be a brand, but I had to realize, in order for people to trust Relentless Motivational Group, they had to see K Noel at the forefront. They had to be able to trust K Noel. You can't build a brand without showing your face. Right. And you know, and I'm big on sometimes, and I'm a private person, very private, you know that. But I'm learning sometimes you got to give a little insight into your life, which is why I wanted to do this episode.
Yeah.
Because I wanted people to get to know me.
Right.
Of course, and when I'm on social media, I'm always talking about something relentless. But now it's my moment of being transparent. It's my moment to show what built me to become the relentless motivator. And I feel like I went through some kind of test, the testing stage. I was tested by fire. Like, are you really who you say you are? Do you really believe in this? Do you really believe in being relentless? We all go through those seasons, whether we want to admit it or not. Us as speakers, whether it's motivational, inspirational, impact, empowerment, we're going to go through those seasons where it's a hard season where we feel like giving up.
Right.
That comes with the territory. But it's a matter of, are you really going to push through this season? How bad do you really want it? Because, and I'm learning, sometimes we can be right at the door of something. We can be right at the door of breakthrough, right at the door of change. And when you're right there at that door, that's when all kind of warfare, that's when all hell breaks loose. And in our mind, we think, well, maybe this is a sign I need to quit. That is one of the biggest things I hate, man. I hate, for people to feel like just because things are getting hard, this is a sign that maybe I should quit. Maybe this is a sign that things doesn't work. That's not the sign that things aren't supposed to be. That's not a sign that it's not going to work. That's a sign that you're walking into something great. That's a sign that you at the breakthrough of something about the change. I'm trying not to get excited here, but I really want to have a conversation.
Get in your bag. Get in your bag.
But, and that's when I realized, okay, I can't quit here.
Right.
All hell is breaking loose. Everything that I know to be seems like it's going backwards. Everything that I believe in is seeming like it's going backwards. Everybody who I thought would be there for me, they aren't there anymore. So what do you do when you feel like you're left alone? Are you going to fold or are you going to keep going? I think about a moment with Jacob. When Jacob, his name means trickster. He sent everybody ahead of him. And he had an encounter. The Bible said he had an encounter with God. And, he was left alone for that moment. And it's sometimes in those moments alone that's going to be your pivotal season. In those moments alone, it's going to be your season of change. I had to admit, man, it hurted a lot, man, that, some of the people that I was there for, that I thought was going to be there for me, they ghosted me in the time that I needed them the most. But then I was like, they ghosted me, but they blessed me.
Yeah.
Because in the midst of that, I had my fight with, it was like my fight with God. And that's when, this is what you think relentless mean, but now let me give you a change to it. Now let me add more meaning to what it means to be relentless. Yeah. And in the midst of that, I gained new brothers. I gained brothers who's going to stick by me, man. You, Demont, Crump, Chizzy, Derek, I gained those brothers. I gained the people who I needed around me that I could be vulnerable with, that I can be real with and tell them this is what I'm struggling with, because I've never been that type of person to admit that I was struggling. I never wanted to have to admit that, but I'm realizing it's okay to admit that you're struggling. It's okay to admit that I'm hurting right now. It's okay. Yeah. And that's what I'm learning in this season, that it's gonna be all right to admit that. It just means you're human. Yep.
Yep. I mean, you gotta look at it, man. Even Job was human.
Yeah.
Job was a real human. They went through real stuff. We spoke. Me and you spoke. In the past, we were like, man, we just going in our Job season right now. You know what I'm saying? It was what it was. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't stay still. We kept moving. We endured. You know what I'm saying? And we evolved into like what I like to call now is our David season. You know what I'm saying? So now we come into our kingship, and we're moving with all intent and purpose now. And I know for you, man, you're just a natural leader. And how can you lead a pack if you can't first lead yourself? You know what I'm saying? And that's exactly what you do. And speaking on that leadership, right? I know we spoke in the past, and I wanted to ask you about this. So reflecting on your college experience, right? How did receiving the Outstanding Leadership Award impact your trajectory?
Oh man, I'll say this: I've never been one to celebrate myself.
Mm,
Fun fact.
okay.
But looking back on it now, that winning that award means everything to me.
Mm-hmm.
It showed, who I was all along.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the moments, we have our moments where we doubt, is this really who I am? But
Yeah.
looking back on those, I am that leader. I am that strong leader. And word to Nip, he says that's why they follow me home. They think I know the way.
Mm-hmm.
And see, I know the way because I went that way.
Mm-hmm.
I know the path because I paved the path. God went
Yeah.
before me. He showed me the journey, and I went on that journey. So now I can help other men. I can help women how to navigate through these storms, how to be relentless.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a tough thing, but winning that award, man, because even in the midst of that, it was Student African American Brotherhood. It was like I was the glue of the pack.
Mm-hmm.
We had guys from all different aspects of life.
Yeah.
And I was able to relate to all of them. I was kind of like the big brother in the group.
Mm-hmm.
And I had an impact on all of them. That's the thing. What kind of impact are you making on the people around you?
Yeah.
Because as a leader, you have to be making some impact. I tell my staff, I want to see the best from them. I want the best from them. And
Mm-hmm.
not just at work. A lot of times, a leader or a boss, so to speak, I hate that word, but, a leader at work, they just want to think about that person doing work, just constantly work. I
Right.
tell my staff in a heartbeat, I'd rather have you here than have you here. And what I mean by that is, I'd rather have you here on this earth than you trying to bust your behind for a job, and then you end up sick. Something happens to you, and then what happens? We quickly replace you.
Mm-hmm.
I seen it happen, man. We had an employee that passed, and a couple of days later in the same week, already trying to fill the position.
Mm-hmm.
Probably about a week or two later, the position was posted.
Dang.
And just that fast. But it takes a long time to hire somebody.
Right.
But just that fast, in a shift, in a blink of an eye, something happened to that person. They passed, and that job replaced them so fast that, man, that changed how I look at everything really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would stay late at work, try to give my all to my job, and I had to recognize that I still stay a little late, but I don't stay as late as I used to, because I'm not about to give my all to a place that will instantly replace me. And while they're going on with life, all of my loved ones are still frozen in time.
Right.
All of my loved ones are still hurting, but they don't moved on. They don't replace me in everything. So why am I going to give my all to this job that's going, that don't really give a flip about me anyway?
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pour my all into my purpose. I'm going to pour my all into what I really love to do, what God has called me to do, what God has purposed me to do. And that's to pour into people.
Right.
And that's to empower people. Because, and just from conversations from me, by the time we end that conversation, you're going to feel empowered.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I like E.T. said in one of his albums, I'm connecting those jumper cables to you.
Mm-hmm.
And when I connect those jumper cables to you, we're going to charge you up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, and that makes me think, as far as how you naturally just, build people up. I was always taught that either when you open your mouth, you're gonna do either one or two things. You're either gonna break somebody down, or you're gonna build them up. You know, it's nothing else you can do about it. You're gonna either break somebody down, or you're gonna build them up. And you seem to lead your conversations with the intent to build up. And with that in mind, so we know you can do this to people you already know and care about, and
Yeah.
they care about and know you. But how do you plan on, or how do you, not plan on, because you're already doing this, but how did you leverage your platform to uplift and motivate others?
Man, I take what I've gone through, and me and a best friend of mine, we had this running joke, that if we thought about it, somebody else don't went through it.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of stuff that I don't went through, somebody else has either went through or going through it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I never met a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
Because some kind of way I can relate to you some kind of way. I may not be able to relate to you 100%, but it might be that 25% that we can relate and that we can connect to each other. So
Right.
I use my platform in keeping that in mind. If you go look at some of my older videos, I'm getting back into the habit of posting.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go back and look at some of my older videos, you'll see it's always given a charge.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want to be that one that's giving somebody a charge. And, some people may feel like, well, it's not that serious, to have to make a piece of content like that. And that may be for them. But for me, it's somebody else that's scrolling that needs this message. It's somebody else that's on the brink of giving up. It's somebody else of wanting to quit. And they like, God, I need a sign. Well, here's your sign right here. Be relentless. Because I'm that voice in the dark place.
Yeah.
Because people it's especially now since 2020, more people in dark places than ever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm that voice in that dark place. While you scrolling social media, you're gonna hear that voice.
Yeah.
And being around you guys and hearing how I've impacted, how I helped you guys, man, that has pushed me more like, man, I got to get back on social media.
Mm-hmm.
If it's, even right now, I'm just posting motivational words.
Mm-hmm.
But I promise you, once I start back posting my clips, it's going to be even more impactful.
Oh, yeah.
Because I promise you, after this season I came out of, I feel like I'm busting out of hell wide open.
Yeah.
And I got some stuff with me. I ain't leave empty-handed.
Right.
It kind of goes back to what I originally thought Relentless was anyway. I went into that place of hell. I went through hell to come out with a lot of stuff. And I gained who I was, who I am. I gained clear vision. Man, my relationship with God has been rekindled. I'm hearing his voice. I'm seeking his face like never before.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes we have to go down those paths. Sometimes God will orchestrate something, not for our detriment, but so that, because he knows us.
Mm-hmm.
We have a free will, but he also knows the heart of man.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows if I do this, they're going to do this. If I allow this to happen, they're going to do this.
Yeah.
If I allow all of this to happen in Job's life, this is what he's going to do. If I allow all of this, and one of my favorite current stories right now is Joseph. If I allow Joseph to be thrown in a ditch by his brothers, his own family, if I allow him to be thrown in this ditch, this pit, it was the, what you call it? The water,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about. If I allow him to be thrown in here and go and get locked up in prison, I'm going to be able to elevate him. Yeah. But in the midst of elevating him, he's going to go back into a dark place.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all a part of the process. It's all a part of me building you up to where you need to be. And when you come out of this, the people that knew you, they won't even be able to recognize you. Mm-hmm. Because when Joseph's family finally seen him, they didn't even know who he was.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the one to be there to help him. So whatever it was that threw me in the pit, I'm coming out and I'm coming to help every person before the pit, before the
Yeah.
fall. And I'm coming out as a new person. You're not going to recognize me.
Right.
And what it is, and a lot of times it's just that person that's been in us all along. But sometimes we procrastinate pulling it out. I wanted to seek therapy. I told my wife back in the end of 2022 that I wanted to do therapy. And it was not only for me, but for us. And life happened. That pushed me to want to get into therapy. I was slowly building my relationship back up with God.
Yeah.
Last year, what I went through, it pushed me to want to. It instantly pushed me back into getting where I was slowly building into. So sometimes, God will orchestrate that stuff, and He'll still restore the stuff. He'll restore everything that was seemed to be taken away. And to us, it may seem detrimental. It may seem hard, but it's like God, all things work together for the good of those who love God and called according to His purpose.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you just trust me and keep going along this way, I'm going to add everything back to you plus more. But you got to trust me. You got to trust the process. You got to trust the journey that I'm taking you on. How much do you trust me?
Yeah. Yeah. When I think about people who say, just take it one day at a time. And that's very logical, realistic, and, agreeable. And I wanted to ask you this as far as daily routine. Like, when you think about the word relentless, like, how do you embody that into your daily life?
Man, that's a packed full question. I look at the challenges. I look at the mountains, because each day we're going to face a mountain.
Yeah.
I think about this Chinese proverb, and it stuck by me. It talks about a man that moved a mountain. So I often think about moving that mountain. So, and one thing about it, and I'm sure everybody probably thought this man was crazy. Everybody probably thought, man, it's no way in the world that he can actually move this mountain. And I think about, though he probably couldn't move the mountain, he still had the faith to move that mountain out of his way. He had the faith that he can move any obstacle out of his way. So each day I'm waking up, I'm doing my best to strengthen myself. I'm on the way to work, I'm worshiping, I'm praying, I'm strengthening myself up to take on the day. One of the current things I'm working on now, and this for a fact, is making sure I get my rest. So, now that's my next challenge, on my journey of being relentless, is making sure that I'm getting enough rest. Because as long as I'm getting enough rest, then I have the strength to fight, the things that I need to fight. Because as long as I'm not resting, I'm not able to have the full strength that I need to fight the things that I need to fight. The things I need to fight off for that day. So in my mind, I see myself as a lion and I see myself as a warrior. So those two things intertwine is what makes the relentless motivator. So I'm using wisdom and I'm being strategic.
Yeah.
And I'm slow to speak. I'm slow but swift to move. It's a key to that, because I try to quickly look at the whole scenario, and I look at all of my options. If I make this move, this is what's going to happen. If I make this move, this is what's going to happen. I plan it out quickly in that moment.
Yeah.
And as I'm planning it out, then I see, okay, well, this the route that I need to take. Because, see, a lot of times people make moves and not think about the consequences for it.
Right.
So I think about all of the different consequences. If I say this, then it's going to result to this happening, then it's going to put me on this journey. We all have every single day we're faced with paths, and we have to choose which path we're going to take each day, because based on that path that we choose, it's going to determine where we're going to go. But the funny thing about God is, no matter which path we're gonna take, He's gonna do a cause and effect where some kind of way we end up back on the path that we need to be
Yeah.
on, so that
Right.
we're in His perfect will.
I like that. I actually like that a lot.
Hey, aren't you glad? I'm bringing it back. My chains in the past. Got my confidence back. I ain't living in land. That ain't living like that. Hey, aren't you glad?